First day of early voting in Virginia, and it'll continue until August 1st. Virginia voters will decide on their nominees for a U.S. Senate seat, U.S. House seats, and some local offices. Primary election day, August 4th. Meanwhile, today is the last day for early voting in Maryland. Voters there deciding on their nominees for governor, U.S. House seats, as well as local races. Maryland's primary day next Tuesday. We've got Virginia local news reporter James Cullum with all the details, getting us all caught up. You're out and about, so you're right getting the pulse of the people. What's going on, James?
Yeah, Marina, in that congressional race, six-term Northern Virginia Congressman Don Beyer is facing former Alexandria City Council member Mo Seifeldine, who, by the way, launched his primary campaign last August, almost a year ago. Fired State Department worker Michael Duffin, who was just on The Daily Show on Tuesday night. Also, veteran and former CIA officer Adam Dunnigan and military family advocate Lorena Bruner. Republican Tony Savio. He's a veteran and former Secret Service officer. He's going to challenge the winner of the Democratic primary on Election Day, which is Tuesday, November 3rd. By the way, Congressman Beyer has been endorsed by nearly every local politician in Northern Virginia, with the exception of Alexandria City Councilman Abdel El-Nubi. But the endorsement list is quite impressive, and it includes the rest of the City Council, Mayor Leah Gaskins, as well as U.S. Senators Mark Warner and Tim Kaine. So, as far as the Senate race, five-term Democratic Senator Mark Warner faces no primary opposition, and instead, three Republicans are competing to run against him. They are retired Army Major General Burt Misuzawa, former federal employee and tech executive Kim Farrington, and veteran and former CIA officer David Williams.
Yeah, one of the interesting things about Virginia, A, they're open primaries, so you can request a ballot for either party depending on the election. And then B, they didn't really get the win on redistricting for the Democrats here. So these are districts that have been around for some time, and that would really change potentially what the outcome looks like.
I mean, I think if Congressman Beyer loses a primary, it will be a momentous event, and it will be interesting to see who the Republican nominee will be in the Senate. Voters can apply for a mail-in ballot online with the Virginia Department of Elections. You want to find out more about this primary election, please go to alxnow.com.
What about tomorrow? Tomorrow's a holiday. It's Juneteenth. Do things suspend because of the holiday and then resume on Monday?
It's a federal holiday, so absolutely. And you'll see local offices closed, local government offices closed, and absolutely.
All right. Well, we'll be checking in as things get underway there in Virginia. We appreciate it. Thank you so much, James, and check out all his reporting there. Let's move on, because a citywide youth curfew starts tonight in Laurel for those who are under 18. It all comes after other cities in the region made similar decisions. We've got with us right now CTV reporter Michaela Nguyen to tell us more about this. And Laurel kind of following suit here with what Washington, D.C. has tried to do to get juvenile crime under control.
Yeah, so this isn't just, Laurel City that's creating these youth summer curfews. It's Laurel now. It's also National Harbor has one in place, but it's the last day of school for PGCPS students. So students are going to want to go out and have fun for their summer, right? So we spoke with Mayor Keith Sidnor earlier, and he told me that this isn't for, punishment. He really wants this to be a preventative measure. So we've been seeing an increase of, a lot of fights, a lot of teen meetups and things of that nature. But now kids have to be in the house by 10 o'clock starting tonight. This curfew will run until September 18th, but it's really just to an enforcement measure, by the city's police department. So there are exceptions, though, so I wanted to talk a little bit about those exceptions. So these teens have to be accompanied by a parent or a legal guardian. They also have to return home within an hour following the conclusion of a school activity, religious activity, or some volunteering activity of some sort. They also have to travel directly to or from work and able to provide proof of employment upon request. So we know that, obviously summer camps are really, really expensive. We also spoke with Mayor Sidnor, who told us about the Summer Nights program that will be running from July until August. So a lot of things happening there.
All right, we'll be waiting there to see if, in fact, this helps a little bit. And Laurel, Michaela Nguyen, we appreciate it. Thank you for the update. Let's move on now because there is a tentative agreement between the U.S. and Iran. It is now in effect, and it extends that ceasefire for 60 days, reopening the Strait of Hormuz and kickstarting nuclear negotiations.
We have an understanding of certain things without writing it. And if they don't honor that, we'll probably go back to bombing them until they honor it.
Democrats and even some Republicans on the Hill not convinced. They think the U.S. made too many concessions, like allowing Iran to immediately start selling oil and receive billions for rebuilding, which the president says will come from outside investors. We've got senior advisor at the Quincy Institute, Kelly Vlahos. Kelly, we've been talking a lot lately here. It seems as though what you and I were surmising about yesterday is, in fact, what this MOU is. And it's been signed even ahead of time, ahead of tomorrow's signing, because of all of the pressure given what the 14 points are in this page and a half here. You seem to think that this is something that it was a deal that needed to happen in a Trump way, and it so has happened. What's the fallout going to look like now?
There's going to be some initial fallout for sure. There are a lot of people on Capitol Hill who are heavily invested in keeping the war going. They feel like that they should have fought Iran until it capitulated and there was some sort of unconditional surrender. But most experts didn't think that that was in the cards. I mean, Iran was dug in, and I think Trump has seen the writing on the wall. He's also getting a lot of pressure from the American people who have never polled very high for this war. In fact, the majority of Americans said they didn't want the war in the first place. And those polling numbers haven't changed through the course of the last 4 months. And at the same time, Trump's approval ratings have gone down in the last 4 months. I mean, the economy is taking a real hit from this war. So he's doing the right thing. He is acknowledging that military force was not going to resolve the United States' problems with Iran, need to get back to the table. And so he took the hard political decision to put an end to it and get back into talks. And the fallout, it's going to be from some of those hawks on Capitol Hill who are disappointed. But I think I think in the end, they'll probably fall in line with the leader of their party, Donald Trump.
Well, listen, you've analyzed these things, and just like being a spectator and obviously someone who lives in this country, the American people have very short-term memory. There were no American casualties, thank God, and that is one of the things that the president had said was a no-go for him. When you talk about the economy, though, that is the one place where Americans are not forgiving. We're going into the midterms now, and to your point, you've got these more hawkish Congress members who are on the Hill, a lot of them who've been primaried out here by the Trump administration, who will not see another term. And they are being pretty violent and aggressive against what we're seeing here in this MOU. But does it seem to you as though the Trump administration is trying to hand this, politically speaking, to J.D. Vance instead, to the vice president? This is your deal. He was talking today from the press briefing room saying that oil prices, the gas prices are going down, almost trying to sell the American people on, like, you're finally going to see relief thanks to me.
Yeah, absolutely. But, let's remember every single account that we have heard from inside the White House, when you hear these tell-alls about the conversation that goes on in the inner circle, they all say that Trump is the ultimate decider, and he is not going to send J.D. Vance out there unless J.D. Vance has his permission to talk and articulate this deal the way he is. And it really sounds, like you said, that he is selling it hard. And he's putting Israel on notice. Every single thing he has said today has basically said, hey, Israel, you got your agenda. We got ours. We stuck up for you. So give us a break here because we're going forward with this deal. And I think he absolutely has Trump's blessing to do and say every single word he is saying at the podium today.
Let's digest that, though, because just like we're talking about elections here for the midterms, and clearly this was a gamble for the Republicans ahead of those midterms to get into this long, drawn-out battle that was going to really hit Americans in the pocket, which it has, and to this point, we'll see if it recedes by November. This essentially means for Netanyahu, goodbye to your party. You're not getting reelected. You already have terrible approval ratings in Israel, but this battle that you were looking to wage with the Americans leading the charge has not played out the way that Israel was looking for it to play out.
Absolutely. I was talking to a former ambassador today about this very question, and he said that, Netanyahu has banked his entire political career on his close relationship with President Trump. There are still posters up in Israel of both men, huge visages of them in the streets of Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. He's going to have a real hard time if that relationship turns sour over this war. And so you're absolutely correct. His opposition is coming from the right flank. They are not happy with this deal, and they're going to remind the Israelis that Netanyahu was not able to get full victory for them with Iran. And that's probably why you're going to see him to continue to pummel Lebanon, even though that is against Trump's wishes. So you're going to see a lot of tension there over the next coming days and weeks.
And how does that stir the pot for this MOU? I mean, that part of one of the points in it is that Lebanon is out of the picture, that Israel is not to touch Lebanon. Yet still, to your point, that's likely not going to happen.
Absolutely. I guess it remains to be seen. I think Iran is probably very happy. As you mentioned, they're getting a lot out of this deal. And so I guess it remains to be seen whether they throw Lebanon under the bus and at some point say, well, OK, we will continue to support Hezbollah and our neighbors there. But it will be up to them whether they want to restart hostilities just over Lebanon when they're getting all of this other stuff in the MOU.
Yeah, I mean, I think you make a calculated assessment about what you give and take, and we'll see. But certainly removing these sanctions and the billions of dollars that Iran is standing to make back, if you will, here, given this deal. 60 days is what this memorandum of understanding is for. And then we'll see another round of talks here. Is this that important that without this, the rest cannot happen? And then when we talk about the rest, whatever is to come, is there a potential here for the United States to completely remove itself from the situation with Iran?
That's a good point. And I think there are a lot of people in Washington who would like to see a better relationship with Iran and maybe entrench a little more, take our troops and a lot of our presence out of the Middle East. That's going to take a long time. I think the most important thing now is that Strait of Hormuz is open and those ships start getting through so that shipping can continue, oil prices come down, gas prices come down, some normalcy to the economy. I think that's the most important thing. But yeah, you're right. The nuclear issue, the issue of Lebanon, sanctions, all of that we're going to have to watch as the talks gear in. Will there be enough trust building for those other things to happen?
Yeah, those 60 days are going to be far closer to the midterms, that's for sure. And that would be something, politically speaking, I'm sure the Republicans would not like to see destabilize what comes out of those midterms, which are hugely important for that party. Kelly, I know you'll be watching, and hopefully we'll be talking to you soon again as we continue to get news of this MOU. Thank you so much for that. We appreciate it.
Thank you.